Well, ladies and gentlemen, things have already changed. We are less than 2 weeks until the NFL officially begins, and there are big trades happening. No, I'm not talking Sky Moore. Brian Robinson, the rumors were swirling. He is officially a member of the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it all down. How does that impact the 49ers running back room? Does it impact CMC? How about Isaac Correndo? Is he worth rostering at this point? How about over in Washington? Who is the guy to own in your drafts this weekend? Is it Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt? Is Austin Eckler, the old man, going to lead the backfield? Or is there another name that you should be keeping your eyes on? Do me a favor, smash that like button to show some love on today's stream, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed just yet. I have incredible news for you. The 2025 season pass is the best deal in the industry. It's the best deal the fantasy industry has ever seen, point blank period. It's not even close. For $34 for the entirety of the season, you're going to get unlimited access to my rankings, which are consistently being updated. So for example, on the Flock Fantasy site right now, we're going to go in and break this down here in a second and exactly what this means for Washington. But at the moment, you would be able to click on my rankings here and it would be completely live. You'll know exactly my opinions. We'll break it down in a second, but these rankings for the season pass are going to be consistently updated. So don't go into your drafts completely blind. Be ready to go. You'll get some vouchers. You'll get my draft guide, etc. So definitely check out the season pass. Don't go into your draft completely naked. Okay, so the big news we need to talk about, Brian Robinson, like we already mentioned, traded to the San Francisco 49ers. So what does that mean for fantasy football? Well. If you are out there, and I'm trying not to laugh when I say this, if anyone out there in any of your leagues or anybody that you know is telling you, oh my gosh, we should probably be lowering CMC in our rankings now, that's how you identify the fish in your league, ladies and gentlemen. That's the guy that you want to go send a trade to because they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Let me tell you, as a Commanders fan, someone who has watched Brian Robinson since he's entered the league, this is not someone that you take Christian McCaffrey off the field in order to put him on the field. To me, this is a very clear indication that San Francisco did not trust the depth of their backfield. Okay? They do not trust the depth. If we go over and we look at San Francisco's backfield right now, let's actually go to a different website here. You can see they've got how many running backs there and how many were actually healthy. They had to add Jeff Wilson, the ghost of Jeff Wilson. Jordan James, a young rookie, was injured. Isaac Correndo, who I loved. I thought he was going to be the handcuff. Isaac Correndo was dealing with an injury. He just got back on the field. Their entire team was dealing with injuries. So now you look at San Francisco's backfield, and to me, this says there is absolutely zero chance that Brian Robinson is keeping Christian McCaffrey off the field. Zero chance. That's just not happening, okay? However, where this muddies things up is the handcuff for Christian McCaffrey. It's hard to advocate to say, hey, Isaac Correndo's the younger guy. He's got more juice. I personally believe that, but it's hard for me to sit here and advocate and tell you guys, look, because of my opinion, I think that Correndo should still be over Brian Robinson. Clearly, I don't think this team makes that trade if they feel that way. But Correndo and Brian Robinson are not exactly the same players either. So if we go over and we look at my rankings here right now, I'll show you guys exactly where I have this running back room in San Francisco. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the running back room in Washington. And we're going to talk all this down, okay? So Christian McCaffrey was my RB4 before this trade, and he is still my running back 4. There is zero reason. Again, if anyone in your league is freaking out, please identify them and go trade with them and take advantage of them. But Christian McCaffrey is not coming off the field for Brian Robinson. Remember, guys, they sent a 6th round pick, a 6th round pick to get this deal done. That is less than what Devon Vele just was traded for to the Saints. The Commanders were going to cut him. They were going to cut him. The Niners said, we'll give you a 6th to make sure that we get him on our team. Okay? Now you look at that running back room in Washington. We'll talk about that in a second. But no, this is not going to hurt Christian McCaffrey. No, you should not be moving him down in your rankings. If we go and look at my overall rankings, now, if you guys have been watching our channel this offseason, you know that we have committed to the anchor wide receiver double RB strat. That's the strategy video. It's the #1 viewed strategy video on YouTube right now. That's what we've been committed to. So we have not had Christian McCaffrey in our top 10 at all at any point this year. He is now, as he was before this news, our 12th ranked player. I don't care if you want to take him, you know, at 7 beyond. They're in the same tier for me. But he is our 12th ranked player as of today. And that has not changed a single thing whatsoever for Christian McCaffrey. Now, what we need to dive into is Brian Robinson versus Isaac Horindo. So, if you drafted already and you had Brian Robinson, he was going as like a 7th round pick. I imagine he's going to nosedive in ADP. He's been completely relegated to me as a handcuff at this point. He is a handcuff. That is a good offense to be a part of. But again, if Christian McCaffrey is healthy, you're not taking him off the field. So how do you view Ray Davis? How do you view Tajay Spears, Rachaad White? Because that is how I view Brian Robinson. Okay. He is now a guy on your team where if an injury happens, you have value. That's exactly all these names, right? If Bucky has an injury, if Pollard has an injury, if James Cook has an injury, right? These are the guys that you're hoping to roster because you might have a chance to either start them or to sell them to some fool. Okay. So Brian Robinson, complete handcuff status at this point. And so it is what it is. A depth piece for San Francisco. Isaac Horindo. Isaac Horindo was actually at the top of this tier for me. He was right ahead Rachaad White. I felt like he was a premier handcuff in the entirety of the NFL. As in, if every RB1 went down with an injury, Isaac Horindo is probably going to be, you know, a top 6 running back. Again, in that hypothetical world that would never exist. Handcuff rankings. I had Isaac Horindo as one of those guys where it's like, you know what? If Christian McCaffrey goes down, he's a locked and loaded top 12 starter each and every week. That now makes things very muddy. Now, here's what I will say. I wouldn't go ahead and bet the house that Brian Robinson is going to be the handcuff either. I'm not sure you can really bet on either of these names if CMC goes down. In fact, maybe both of them are involved. Maybe it's disgusting. So overall, that being said, I wouldn't really be targeting either of these guys in drafts. There's no longer a clear handcuff that you can go out and target and say, you know what? If Tony Pollard goes down, I got Tajay Spears. If James Cook goes down, I got Ray Davis. If Bucky Irving goes down, I got Rachaad White. I don't think that exists, so I would probably suggest not to be targeting these names in drafts. Now, we need to talk about the opposite side of that deal, okay? Because now you look at the Commanders running back room. You got names like Austin Eckler. You got names like Chris Rodriguez. You got names like Bill Krosky-Merritt. Nichols is there and a couple other no names. So here's some important context that you guys need to know. The Commanders had a 3rd round grade on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Now, if you don't know much about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, this is a player that, unfortunately, due to eligibility issues, some weird thing with like jersey numbers, it was crazy. He was unable to play for the majority of the 2024 season. He played 1 game at Arizona, but he dominated at New Mexico before transferring. The Commanders really, really liked him. He offered a bit of juice and a bit of flash and a bit of after, you know, open field type of elusiveness that Brian Robinson just simply couldn't dream of. Okay. Even Brian Robinson, as a 16-year-old kid, you know, on the fields there in middle school, high school, he couldn't dream of that type of elusiveness. Now, you need to be aware, though. This does not mean that, okay, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I'm now taking him in the 5th round of my fantasy football drafts. I think that would be, I don't think that would be a smart move. You want to make your call? Make your call, okay? But we're going to go ahead and we're going to digest this backfield. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, we now have him ranked as our RB30. So round 7 is takeoff for me. Is that too aggressive? You can tell me in the comments below. I think round 7 is takeoff. Okay, right by the Jordan Masons of the world, probably taking him over Joe Mixon, Tyrone Tracy, Travis Etienne. We're going to put Bill Krosky-Merritt there right at RB30. But I do need to warn you, if you are going out there and you're aggressively trading for Bill, or, you know, you're drafting him in round 5, the wrong expectations would be that he is the guy straight away week 1. That's just not going to be the case. That is not going to happen. Austin Eckler will be involved. I can tell you this, as a Washington fan, Austin Eckler will be involved in this backfield. Austin Eckler, I currently have ranked, has it changed? Where did I put Eckler? Maybe it took Eckler out of my rankings. Okay, it took Eckler out of my rankings. I apologize. Let's go ahead and redo that. Austin Eckler, we would have ranked right below Bill. I had this all set up. My bad, guys. We're going to put him right there with the Zach Charbonnets of the world. Okay. So in the same tier as Krosky Merritt. Now, what you guys need to know is that, Austin Eckler was no scrub last year. Okay. Obviously, he didn't get enough opportunities to really showcase his abilities. But Eckler was a fine player. In 2025, he could, if he stays healthy, be a very relevant fantasy football player. If we use the comparison tool on the Flock Fantasy website, we'll have a look at what he did last year. So last year, Austin Eckler, in snap share, he got 57% of the snaps. But what you need to look at is yards per carry. Okay, he was so efficient. Now the thing is, Austin Eckler wasn't given a 15 to 17 carry type of workload. He was super efficient because he was the spell back, the guy who gave you that change of pace in this offense. 5.3 yards per carry, which was 7th highest in the entire NFL last year of any running backs that we're looking at here. Again, with the comparison tool on the Flock site. Now, he wasn't getting many rushing attempts inside the 5, but he was 19th in targets. He was 5th in receiving yards. So he was still a very, very relevant fantasy football player. Austin Eckler was great. I mean, you weren't able to start him, unfortunately, because Brian Robinson was their starter last year. But in limited work, he was great. Now, you have to ask the question, okay, if they're going to go out there and they're going to give him a bunch of work, are we really going to see that same type of efficiency? And I would agree with you that the answer is probably no. You're probably not going to see that same type of efficiency. But in case you're a betting man and you want to bet on Austin Eckler, well, last year in a great offense, you can see in splits without Brian Robinson, that's the 3 over here. 3 games without Brian Robinson, Eckler started, and he averaged 15.5 points per game. 15.5 points per game. Now, that's great to look at, but that doesn't mean that last year's going to be this year, does it? All right, we're not going to have the same exact season from last year to this year. It's going to be different. And the difference is that this team is excited. This is like Pacheco levels of excitement for Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. But again, having the expectation that it's going to be Bill's job from day one is a bit silly in my opinion, because this team has raved about Chris Rodriguez as well. Now you will notice that we have Chris Rodriguez around RB 57. I'm begging you, if your waiver wires are going to open up here soon and you've already drafted, do not go spend all your fab on Chris Rodriguez. He is going to have a role. This team does truly believe that Chris Rodriguez can be their goal line running back and he can have work on first and second downs. Now, here's what I will say. As much as, again, a Commanders fan talking here, as much as I would love to see Chris Rodriguez come out here and have, a year 3 breakout, the reality is, I want you to remember, this team already had Chris Rodriguez last year. It's the same offensive coordinator. It's the same head coach. It's the same GM. If they thought Chris Rodriguez was better than Brian Robinson, was better than Austin Eckler, they already had a chance to make that move, and they didn't do it. Okay? Now, who knows? Maybe Chris Rodriguez has progressed. Maybe he has progressed. Maybe he's finally reached the ceiling that they wanted him to reach. Okay? But do not blow all your fab on Chris Rodriguez, because, again, this man has already had a chance to overtake Brian Robinson, to overtake Austin Eckler for opportunities in Washington, and they didn't give it to him. So, is it the chicken or is it the egg? Is that a good analogy? Maybe not. But now that they have Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, now they're comfortable to actually move off of Brian Robinson. To me, that says that Ja'Cory, at some point this year, is going to be the running back to own. However, I want to walk you through 2 scenarios. I really see this going 2 ways. Actually, let's say 3. The first scenario, okay, is that this is just disgusting in Washington. This is gross. This is just every week it's a different guy, and you'll have no idea who you're supposed to start week in, week out. Okay, there's a full possibility this is a running back by committee. 3 running backs are sharing opportunities in Washington. That's a very realistic possibility in my mind. Austin Eckler is going to be involved. Krosky Merritt and Chris Rodriguez. If what they're saying is true, if their words mean anything, then Chris Rodriguez will have a role. So that is scenario 1. And that's disgusting. That's not good for anyone. That's not good for anyone, okay? That's certainly not good if you're going to go out there and draft Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt in round 7. That's scenario 1. It's a 3-way and not the one that you want to be a part of. Okay? Now, scenario 2 is it's just 2 running backs in that backfield. It's just Austin Eckler and it's Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I would love that. I think we would all love that. In fact, if we go and look at our draft guide, we can, let's submit these rankings real fast. We can look at the projections for the 2025 season according to ESPN's Mike Clay. We're going to update our draft guide. We're going to update our cheat sheet. You guys are going to have all the latest rankings here. Beautiful part about our draft guide, by the way, is that all these links are clickable. Okay, so if you want to go straight to the projections for 2025, let's do it. So Mike Clay has the Washington Commanders projected for the 6th most points per game in the NFL this year. Mike Clay, why do we use Mike Clay's projections? Because he's the GOAT at projections, all right? He's been the guy for projections for a long, long time. So let's play out scenario 2. If it is scenario 2 in Washington, okay, and it is Austin Eckler and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, these guys are probably both startable names week in, week out. You can probably start these guys as flex options, okay? So again, that's scenario 2. Okay, so scenario 3, and this is where everyone who owns Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, all right, and obviously Mason from Flock Fantasy is in the chat right now trying to talk up his dude. I'm so annoyed I didn't draft him. I love Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and I have major regrets with that. But here's scenario 3. Scenario 3 is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is just so good. They are just so in love with him that from week 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's Isaiah Pacheco rookie season, where they give him more and more and more and more and more to the point where we're in week 10 and he's a must-start guy each and every week. Okay? That is a real possibility. That is scenario 3. And let me tell you, if this is Isaiah Pacheco rookie season, if this is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is their guy and they just got to slowly work him in and get him involved, then he's going to have immense value because Washington is currently projected for the 6th most points in the league this year, which is fantastic. I can't sort by it on our draft guide, but they're also projected to have some of the most rushes in the NFL as well. This is a team that likes to rush the ball, right, with Jaden Daniels with that running back room. So there could be immense value there with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Now, you're probably asking me, okay, Zach, so we talked about a lot here. There's 3 options. You know, you've talked about option 1, 2, 3, scenario 1, 2, 3. What is the most likely outcome? In my humble opinion, the most likely outcome is that we start off the season scenario 1, where it's a 3-way and not the kind you want to be a part of, okay? But then eventually, weeks 2, 3, 4, we go to scenario 2, okay? And I would say the most likely outcome is that scenario 2 is what this team commits to for the entirety of the season. So I think there's a very real possibility that Austin Eckler is just as valuable as Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for the entirety of the season. However, for anyone who drafted JCM or Austin Eckler this year, and you've already been in your drafts, you should feel very good about it. You should feel very, very good about it. This trade shows this team's intentions. Whether we know exactly how it's going to pan out or not, we know their intentions are to heavily utilize these names in their backfield. Like I said earlier, if you haven't got the 2025 season pass, I don't know what you're doing with your life. It's $34. It's the cheapest deal in the fantasy industry, and it's the best deal in the fantasy industry. Guys, for $34 for the entire season, $1.70 per week until the end of the 2025 season, you get unlimited access to my rankings. Again, we just showed you them on the Flock site. The best part about that is that these rankings are constantly being updated, okay? So does another trade happen as soon as I end this stream? Perfect. Well, what you can do is you can go to our rankings. You can choose my rankings right there, and you'll be able to know exactly how I feel about my positional rankings for every single position. But not only do you get my rankings, you get all the premium tools on the Flock site. You get our draft guide, our cheat sheet, which is going to be updated here for the weekend for you guys to go out there and have drafts, okay? You get the draft guide, you get the cheat sheet. Earlier, you saw me use the range of outcomes tool and the comparison tool. All these tools are available to you with the 2025 season pass with the promo code LAND. Now, here's the best part. The best part is when you get a season pass with the promo code LAND, you're going to get some vouchers to come on the Flock site and ask me questions. I'm now going to open up the floor. We're not going to go too long here, but we're going to open up the floor to some questions, and I would absolutely suggest, if you do want to get your question answered, I would suggest to go ahead and submit it through the Flock Fantasy website. Okay, I'll go ahead and I will have Nightbot send you a message where you can submit a trade question on the Flock site, because we're going to answer 2 questions here, and then we're going to head out. But if you guys have any questions, submit them through the Flock site, and I'll answer them. But let's have a look here. So we just had a tweet come out, and I want to make sure I read this because this seems to be important. All right, so a couple tweets just came out about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Let's read this. You and I are going to read this together. Okay, so this is from Elaine Poupart. I'm probably saying that wrong. Miami Dolphins. He works with the Dolphins. Sports Illustrated, it looks like. Okay. And one of the things that, that's Jalen Wright. Okay. So this is from Ben Standig. Ben Standig, he's a Commanders reporter for Last Man Standing. Okay. And one of the quotes in his latest article, the decision was more about philosophy than a single replacement. 7th round rookie Bill Krosky-Merritt flashed one-cut speed through camp. 3rd-year back Chris Rodriguez brings a running style similar to Robinson's, helping make the move palpable. So if this is true, and what Ben is saying, this is more scenario 1, where it's a true 3-way. We don't want to be a part of that 3-way. That's not a 3-way we want to be a part of. However, I think what Ben is leaving out here, and he should know this as someone, I follow the Commanders as a fan. He should know this as someone who follows the Commanders. They are in love with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. They're in love with him. Okay, so there's a possibility it's a 3-way. I think worst case or best case scenario it's a 2-way. We'll have to find that out. But we have a Dynasty question, and wouldn't you know it, the Dynasty question is actually related to Krosky-Merritt. So in Dynasty, Moxie Fox asked, should I trade Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for James Conner? I'm going to need, and when I say need, I mean need. I'm going to need you guys to tell me in the chat who you would prefer here in Dynasty football. This is not redraft, Dynasty. Dynasty meaning you carry your team over from one year to the next. So would you rather have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt or James Conner? You can see my rankings in Dynasty already. I have Bill as my RB29. I have Conner as my RB23. Conner just signed a long-term contract, a couple years. If you make this trade, you're betting on Bill to be the guy. If he's not the guy, if it's a timeshare, I think you're going to regret this. If I'm a contender, I'm pretty easily taking James Conner. If I'm someone who's trying to rebuild, I have no problems with going Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. However, I would try and throw in a pick swap there if you're getting the JCM side. Again, if you're a rebuilder, I would probably try and throw in like a second and send a third, you know, in that scenario. So I don't think this is crazy. This could be one of these things where we're not adjusting enough, like the Puka Nacua situation. The reality is we weren't adjusting enough after Puka had like a 20 target game. Okay. This is all just hearsay at this point. Okay. So again, if I'm a contender, I'll take Conner. If I'm a rebuilder, I'll take Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Now, again, keep in mind, guys, this is all speculation. James Conner is the one that you know he's going to get work in that offense. Okay, you just know he is going to get work in that offense. Okay, so again, contender, Conner, rebuilder, Krosky-Merritt. In redraft, it's not close. You're still going James Conner. Sean had a question here. Let's see if we can get Sean's question up. And Sean is asking if he should send away a first Taylor and Garrett Wilson for Brock Bowers. This is a no tight end premium. Here's a beautiful part about you guys submitting your questions through the Flock site. We can actually look at your entire team. This is just incredible over here. Again, go to the Flock site, sign up for a free account with the promo code LAND, and then you can go to the Flock store, ask any of these questions here with Zach and Badaki from Fantasyland. And when you link your team, you can link your team for free, by the way, in the My Teams page. Sign up with the promo code LAND for a free account. You can see the analyzer, the league analyzer, and it makes it easy to submit trade questions. But so Sean essentially would be giving up a first Taylor Wilson for Brock Bowers. This is a 10-team league, so elite guys matter very much. It's a 1-quarterback 10-team league, start 9. So that would mean, what is that, 3 flex spots? Is that right? 3 flex spots, I think. So it's not a small starting lineup. Taylor Wilson in a first is a heavy payment here, I'd say. That's a heavy payment, but it is Brock Bowers. Why would this guy want to do this deal? He doesn't need running backs. Yeah, it's an interesting one. You've got Mark Andrews. You've got Dalton Kincaid. Look, I love Brock Bowers. If there was a premium in this league, I'd be fine to pay this. But I think Taylor's going to cost you at least an early first, if not 2. Same for Garrett Wilson. So you're paying in the range of 4 to 5 first for Brock Bowers. If it was a premium, I think that's fair enough. I don't think you're going to regret trading for Bowers, but I just think from a team construction, that straps you in a little bit there. So I'm probably going to keep the side that we are sending there. But again, guys, this situation is ever evolving. I cannot suggest enough for you to be on the Flock Fantasy site. Look, even if you don't want to get the best deal in the fantasy industry, okay, the season pass, $34 for the entire year. It's laughable when you think about it. You get vouchers, you get access to my draft guide, my cheat sheet, I'm going to answer your questions on the Flock site with some vouchers. All the tools on the Flock site you get access to for $34 for the season pass. Use the promo code LAND when you sign up. I'll be answering your fantasy questions. It's honestly insane we priced it that way. But even if you don't want to get the season pass, at least go and sign up for a free account with the promo code LAND. All right, flockfantasy.com/land. You get a couple things for free, like the My Team Analyzer. You'll get expert consensus rankings for free, not individual rankings. But that is how we are viewing the Washington backfield, okay? And I would love to know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know. We've got Sammy in the building. He says, contender takes Connor, rebuilder punts and takes JCM there. Sean, appreciate the donation here. He says, thanks for the love. Thanks for going live. I appreciate you guys and appreciate y'all for being here. We're going to finish by answering 2 fantasy football questions from the YouTube chat, okay? We're going to answer 2 questions and 2 questions alone. So definitely drop your questions in right now to get a chance for me to answer them. Jeb, what's up? Driving to Cincinnati. Appreciate you for being here with us, my friend. I agree with Adrian. CMC is still the guy. Joel says, number 1 question is, should we sell high on JCM and for what in Dynasty? That's a very good question there, my friend. We're going to have to figure that out together as we go. I already know in the Flock League, people are trying to tell Sal that he should sell Christian McCaffrey, but Sal is smarter than that. Jose says, who would you start between Eckler or Tracy? Week 1? I think it would depend on matchups. I'd probably go Tracy still, with him being the guy there in week 1, but they'd be very, very close in my rankings. I appreciate that, WG. We try our best. All right, guys. We appreciate y'all for being here. Jeb says he just traded a 2nd for JCM and a 3rd. All right. I like it. All right, guys. That is it for today. Again, go get your season passes. Be ready for the weekend. And be ready to dominate. All love. We'll see you guys in the next one.